6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Lal Mallavarachi, assisted by Sanjay, and read by Geethanjali Ramanayaka. The headlines. Electricity tariffs reduced by 21.9%. Fuel prices have been revised with effect from today. The President notes that a new legal framework will be introduced for a modern economy. The central bank officials are scheduled to appear before Parliament today. The number of subjects for the GCE ordinary level examination is to be reduced to 7. Foreign news, the U.S. Supreme Court rules Colorado cannot ban Trump from presidential ballot. In sports, it's cricket. Sri Lanka beat Bangladesh by 3 runs in the opening T20I. The Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka has announced the electricity tariffs were reduced by 21.9% with effect from last midnight. The Commission has approved the revision of electricity tariffs. Accordingly, the bills of electricity consumers with monthly consumption between 61 and 90 units will be reduced by 30%. Those who belong to the category between more than 90 units and less than 108 units will get a 24% reduction, while 18% reduction is given for those who belong to the category of more than 180 units. The PUCSL has decided to reduce the tariffs by 33% for religious places. The tariffs for the general purpose consumer category will be reduced by 23% and by 22% for government institutions. Also, the tariffs have been reduced by 18% for hotel and industry sectors and by 20% for street lamps. According to the new tariff revision, the monthly fixed charge for consumers who use less than 30 units will be reduced from 180 to 150 rupees. The unit price they pay has been reduced from 12 to 8 rupees. The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation announced that fuel prices have been revised with effect from today. Accordingly, the price of petrol 95 octane has been reduced by 9 rupees to 447 rupees per litre, while super diesel has been reduced by 10 rupees to 458 rupees per litre. Meanwhile, the prices of kerosene has been reduced by 5 rupees to 257 rupees per litre. However, the prices of petrol 92 octane and auto diesel will remain unchanged. Meanwhile, the Lanka IOC says they too will revise retail fuel prices to match the revised prices. Meanwhile, Lanka IOC and Sinopec say they too will revise retail fuel prices in line with the CPETCO prices. President Ranil Wickremesinghe revealed that over the past 14 months, the Parliament has enacted 42 new laws to facilitate the country's economic transformation. Furthermore, the President highlighted the necessity of passing additional 62 laws through Parliament. He underscored that if this cannot be achieved in the current parliamentary session, the bills will be reintroduced in the subsequent session for approval. The President made these remarks during his keynote address at the What's New dialogue on legal reforms with young legal professionals. The What's New project by the Presidential Secretariat, under the guidance of President, is to recognize the need for new legal reforms and the importance of views of the youth and the new generation. Additionally, the President launched the What's New website, which was initiated by a group of young lawyers as a social media tool for youth to present suggestions and ideas for legal renaissance that is essential for Sri Lanka to become a developed country by the year 2048. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Officials from the Central Bank of Sri Lanka find themselves at the center of attention today as they are summoned before the Cabinet. The purpose of this summons is to address the recent developments surrounding salary increases. In addition to Cabinet meeting, the Central Bank officials are also scheduled to appear before Parliament today. At 10:30 a.m., party leaders in the Parliament will convene to discuss matters related to the incident of salary adjustments. The inquiries aim to shed light on the circumstances surrounding the salary increase. The Central Bank officials are expected to provide detailed explanations during these crucial sessions. Japanese IT University has provided free laptops to software engineering students of newly established Lanka Nippon BizTech Institute, LNBTI, with a contribution of funds from Japan. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena handed over laptops to software engineering students at a function held at the Temple Trees recently. The Prime Minister attended the ceremony, marking the importance of this significant gesture to bridge the digital gap and the LNBTI's unwavering commitment to enhancing student access to technology. Acting Japanese Ambassador Katsuki Kataro and Prime Minister's Secretary Anuruddha Dissanayake handed over laptops to another group of students. And that ends local news for now.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Minister Susil Premjanta has announced that the Minister of Education has decided to cut down the number of subjects for the GCE ordinary level examination to 7 subjects. According to the Education Ministry statement, Education Minister Susil Premjanta said that steps will be taken to evaluate the industry and environmental knowledge that can be provided to the students locally for the remaining 3 subjects. The decision has been taken to ensure that no student fails the GCE ordinary level examination and they are provided with the opportunity to receive professional training in the subject areas of their interest. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
In Watchlight this morning, the Irrigation Department has requested consumers to use water sparingly to tide over the present shortage of water experienced due to the prevailing drought. As the water consumption has increased heavily due to the high temperature and dry weather conditions currently experienced, and residents in higher elevations have complained that they receive only a trickle of pipe-borne water. Therefore, drinking water should be used sparingly in residences and offices without wasting them for watering plants and gardens. And that came to you in Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
Headlines first. The U.S. Supreme Court rules Colorado cannot ban Trump from presidential ballot. WHO says children starving to death in northern Gaza. Record low turnout in Iran polls as hardliners win. The U.S. Supreme Court has struck down efforts by individual states to disqualify Donald Trump from running for presidential using an anti-insurrection constitutional clause. The unanimous ruling is specific to Colorado, but it also overrides challenges brought in other states. Colorado had barred Mr. Trump from its Republican primary, arguing he incited the 2021 Capitol riot. The court ruled that only Congress, rather than the states, has that power. Children are dying of starvation in northern Gaza, the World Health Organization chief says. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said the agency's visit over the weekend to the Al-Awda and Kamal Adwan hospitals were the first since early October. A lack of food resulted in the deaths of 10 children and severe levels of malnutrition, while hospital buildings have been destroyed, he wrote. The Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza reported on Sunday that at least 15 children died from malnutrition and dehydration at the Kamal Adwan hospital. Hardliners have won a majority of the seats in the parliamentary election in Iran, which saw a record low turnout of 41% after the call for a boycott. Most moderate and reformist figures were disqualified from standing in Friday's polls, which were the first since the 2022 nationwide protests. Interior Minister Ahmad Wahidi told a news conference that 25 million of the 61 million eligible voters took part. He also revealed that about 5% of the ballots cast were invalid or spoiled. Back to the headlines of the World News. The U.S. Supreme Court rules Colorado cannot ban Trump from presidential ballot. The WHO says children starving to death in northern Gaza, and record low turnout in Iran polls as hardliners win. And that ends World News.
Development News.
For the second month in succession, Sri Lanka tourism passed the 200,000 arrival landmark in February 2024, recording 218,350 tourists. This is a record 102.8% increase against the 2020 February, while in January 2024, Sri Lanka saw 208,253 visitors, which is also over 100% increase against the 2020 January, which was 102,545. The Russian Federation was the top source destination, accounting for 15% of the total market, while India was the second. The United Kingdom, Germany and China followed. And that was development news.
Moving on with sports news.
Cricket news. Sri Lanka beat Bangladesh by 3 runs in the opening T20I to take a 1-0 lead in the 3-match series. 50s from Kusal Mendis and Sadira Samaravikrama helped Sri Lanka compile 206 for 3. Bangladesh were restricted to 203 for 8 in reply as Mahamadullah and Ali's efforts went in vain. And that was sports news.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The SLT Group's financial results for the fourth quarter and financial year ending December 31st, 2023 reflects a downturn in performance amid a turbulent macroeconomic environment in the country. For the fourth quarter last year, SLT Group reported a year-on-year consolidated revenue degrowth of 7.5%, amounting to 26 billion rupees compared to 28 billion rupees in 2022. The group's profit decline was attributed to reduced revenue despite the efforts of cost optimization measures that resulted in a 5.9% reduction in operating expenses. And that was business news.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
On to economic news. At the Parliament's Business Committee meeting chaired by Speaker Mahinda Abeyewardena, a decision was taken to summon the central bank officials to the party leaders' meeting on the 5th of March, that's today. Legislators have questioned steep salary hikes to the central bank officials, and that was economic news.
Weather report.
Showers or thunderstorms may occur at a few places in the Kalutara, Ratnapura, Gaul and Matra districts in the evening or night. Mainly dry weather will prevail elsewhere in the island. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the western and Sabragama provinces during the morning. Well, that was the weather report, and prior to concluding this news broadcast, the main points once again. Electricity tariffs reduced by 21.9%. Fuel prices have been revised with effect from today. The President notes that a new legal framework will be introduced for a modern economy. The central bank officials are scheduled to appear before Parliament today. The number of subjects for the GCE ordinary level examination is to be reduced to 7. Foreign news. The US Supreme Court rules Colorado cannot ban Trump from presidential ballot. And in sports, it's cricket. Sri Lanka beat Bangladesh by 3 runs in the opening T20 International. Well, with that, we end this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation, and handing over the microphone back to Soundi Taum on the other side. Over to you, Soundi, and a very good morning to you.
A very good morning to you as well, Geetanjali. Thank you for bringing us the morning news, and let me wish you a safe trip back and have yourself an amazing Tuesday. This is Radio Sri Lanka.